Hi, welcome to Musical Rue or MR. I'm Chris Leininger from Stereophonic Oddity, and I'll be your host in reviewing movies, movie musicals specifically, and musicals in general. For example, today I'll be reviewing Baz Luhrmann's Moulin Rouge. This musical follows Christian, played by Ewan McGregor, a young writer who's just moved to the bohemian underworld in Paris, and he's come into encounter with all these adventures and mishaps kind of surrounding this place called the Moulin Rouge, which is a nightclub and kind of a place where as they put it, the rich and powerful go to play with the young and beautiful. And so he ends up going there and meeting this beautiful young woman, Satine, who he ends up falling in love with, and she falls in love with him. And the Moulin Rouge itself is filled up with remakes of and mashups of several songs that some more well known than others, some really famous, some not so famous. Each one of the songs is crafted in a way that it tells the story of Christian and Satine, and it kind of tells their mishaps, their adventures, their love, and just solving the story for them through the songs. It's a beautiful mashup of these. The sound design for it is very skillfully crafted, and the remakes of the songs are done in such a way that it doesn't outdo the original, but it does a really, really good job and becomes a new favorite all on its own. Um, the movie itself was nominated for many awards on all fronts, including 6 Golden Globes, 8 Oscars, and even more. It has a 76% rating on Rotten Tomato and a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. My personal opinion on the movie is that the storyline itself kind of encounters these two really, really strong characters that you get to develop just through, each one has their own song that kind of develops who they are, and you really get to know them and know the people that they're interacting with. And I really enjoy that from a storyteller's perspective. Moving into them singing, it was a little interesting hearing some of the songs and knowing that the ranges were cut down to fit to the actors. But all in all, I do appreciate the vocal talents of both Ewan McGregor and several of the other actors and actresses who did perform in this piece. Personally, I have several favorite scenes, starting with Above Almost, El Tango de Roxanne. I find this one a beautiful collage of both cinematography and dancing thrown in with the music, because the music in itself creates the mood and the atmosphere, but the director and producer did a great job of showing kind of the story he wanted to portray with this song through the movement and the dancing, and I thought that was just beautiful. And the colors that go with it, the costume design is wonderful in this movie, but in this specific piece it was just great to see the colors interact from the costumes to the lighting. Was just it sparks, it becomes very vibrant and full of itself. Right after that, I like the introduction of the Argentinian. I think it's a great opportunity for them to introduce the characters without having to throw in a whole bunch of extra music and song that doesn't really need to be there, because I find musicals that do that often drag on a little bit longer than need to, and it was very fast paced, and it was just fun to watch this guy drop through a roof asleep, and they just tell you that that's what's happening, and it's just a beautiful moment. I think my third most favorite scene would be Spectacular Spectacular, when they're explaining to the Duke this show they want to create. And at first, it's just like them, mostly Christian, just fighting to kind of find words to make up the story just on the spot. And then they all start to pitch in, and it's just this great idea of the collaborative effort. And I think it's really kind of ironic is that they're trying to create this bohemian play, and in fact, it's a very bohemian idea, is this concept of taking multiple people's ideas and shoving them all together and creating this beautiful masterpiece. And the song that goes with it, while it is a theme, the theme and the music that they use is from another musical. I think the way that they put the words to it and the dancing to it and the quick movement to it made it really kind of seem as bohemian as the idea that they're trying to express. If I were to have to pick the top 3 songs from this movie that I like the most, I'd have to start out with Like a Virgin. While it is a Madonna song, the Madonna song I'm not so great into, I really, really love the Moulin Rouge version of Like a Virgin. It's just so upbeat, it's so creepy, it's so weird, it's so Moulin Rouge. It is an embodiment of this film and the awkwardness of the storyline and the awkwardness of the characters, especially between the Duke and Sidler, and it pops out at you and it just makes you feel strange. Straight after that, I'd have to say Come What May, this being the only original song for the movie. Um, I would have to say I really, really like this song because while most characters in movies where they have a few problems and then they get back together and everything's fine, and while that does happen here with this song Come What May, it's like, hey, the problem happened, and though we're forgiving each other for what happened, it still's there and we need to move on past it. It's not that our love is gonna fix all, end all. It's going to just overcome this problem that we have, and we're still gonna have problems, and we're always going to have problems, but I still love you. And I think that's a great, great message behind the song, and it's a beautiful love song, and I feel like it's, in its originality, it makes the story much better than one of those cheesy classic love songs where it's like, I love you, and I don't really know why. And then, lastly, I know this is kind of contradicting the last song I just said, Your Song is probably my third in the row of those, because Your Song is like him first expressing, Christian first expressing to Satine that he loves her, and it becomes kind of the underscoring melody throughout the entire movie. And because of that, I think because it's so reiterated, but in a way that's not overwhelming and not overplayed, it becomes kind of a favorite because it's the one you can remember at the end of the movie. It's the one where he basically embarrasses the fool out of himself and he's like, I love you, and it's just a beautiful song because you can listen to it, Ewan McGregor's version, without the video behind it, and you still can picture perfectly what's going on at each individual moment, and you get flashbacks from the entire movie, I believe. And at least that's how I feel all the time. Wonderful life is, now you're in the world. Oh, real quick, we come to the part of our show where I'm going to go ahead and lift off a few trivia facts. These are just cool things that I found out about the movie that seem really kind of interesting and thought I might share. So to start off with, and in Moulin Rouge, Jim Broadbent, the guy who plays Sittler, it took them 2.5 hours every day to fit him into his fat suit. I'm not sure if I could deal 2.5 hours just getting into the thing and then have to spend like several hours on stage filming it. God, that must have been hot. Come What May is the only original song in the entire movie. It was originally written for Romeo plus Juliet, and it was up for a nomination for Best Song, but it was disqualified because it was originally written for another movie. Another interesting fact for you is the necklace that Satine wears in her song is an actual real diamond necklace made specifically for this movie. It is made out of diamond and platinum. It has 1,308 diamonds in it, weighing 134 carats, and is worth probably a little more than $1 million, US dollars that is. It's also the first musical film nominated for Best Picture since Beauty and the Beast in 1991. That's a decade since the last one. Also, before filming Like a Virgin, they took Coca-Cola and wiped it all over the floor so that the dancers wouldn't trip because they didn't want Marley on the stage. And one last one for you. The word love and its variations appear 143 times throughout the entire film. 143 times. Love, love, loving, love it. Just all the different versions of the word love appear 143 times throughout the entire film. Well, we've come to the end of this episode of MR. I'm your host, Chris from Stereophonic Oddity, and I'll catch you later.